Okay, Tuesday night live stream. There's a bunch of comments. Thought Wolfie, that is literally why I use the thumbnail, because the little AI image generator did 3 pretty good ones and 1 really messed up one, and I just had to use the messed up one. And Dontron's been going a bit mad. You got some pretty good news. You got engaged, which is good and exciting news. 4-year anniversary, excellent. Oh, and you're engaged to such an attractive woman. I love love. That's great. And it took you a while to notice the Shiva aunt, yes. Oh, okay. Dontron, you want to link to the Discord? I can do that. A new account, your old one was suspended by being a Wings of Redemption troll channel. Oh, that's okay. Wings of Redemption sounds very bad. And hello, Heine. It is a long time no see, Dontron. Look, I'll open the Discord and put the link in. Where are we? Discord. Open up the Discord and oh god, now I'm going through this thing where I've got to remember. Discord doesn't make it super obvious how you do it, and it just took me a second to remember. There it is. And her ladyship, hello. All the alcohol. Yeah, look, honestly, I feel you. I actually got sent a free sample of an exciting new gin. I'm going to make something with it. I'm just going to make one video tonight. And the rest of the night I'm going to be sitting chilling. And also, it's got to the time of the year, because I'm planning forward, need to have a selection of eggnogs of the week. So you've been up all night blowing glass. You've probably earned a wee dram. Okay, so I'm going to set some stuff up here. So I suppose, staying in line with the channel lore, I should put the chickens in charge. All right. Oh, God. Drunk chickens. What are you doing? Actually, you probably see me back at the bar if I... Oh, God, because my camera's not mirrored. Oh, there you go. That might be a good setting. Okay. Move this chair out of the way. I've got to set up. Just a little bit of talky talk with this one. Not too much. Just a bit. We'll talk about a distillery from South Australia called Never Never. Okay, yes, I am going to do a bit of talky, then I'm going to makey, and then a little bit more talky. Okay, you know what? This gets some tangled in knots. Okay, come on, get your shit together, little power cord for this light, honestly. Okay. Right, so I'm going to turn that on. Okay, I want this camera. Hit that jive. Okay, let's get this happening. And we're going to get into some gin. Okay, that looks good. Alrighty, let's do is all the stuff I have, isn't it? Yes. I kind of thought I had one more, but I don't. G'day, cocktail lovers. Look, if you know me, you know I'm partial to gin, particularly, almost exclusively, Australian gins. There are so many innovative gin distilleries in Australia, like hundreds. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say there are hundreds. It's impossible to keep up with them. New ones pop up all over the place, but there's a couple of better known ones, and then there's others that are less known, and there's just so much creativity going on. And one of the distillers I've bought quite a bit from over the years is from South Australia. They're called Never Never Distilling. They particularly, if you like your juniper forward gins, they'd be making the gins for you. I've had a few of theirs over the year, and they also do a range of spirits, quite often one-off releases, sometimes for an extended period. And there's this special range they call their Dark series. I have a few of the Dark Series spirits, which I'll show you in a minute, but because I've bought through their website, I was on their mailing list, and I got an email recently that said, hey, we haven't emailed you in a while. We've been busy. We're setting up this special thing for people who really like us. Do you want to be like our special friend? And I went, yes. And they said, cool. And I signed up for Special Friends Club. That's not what it's called. And then about a week later, I went, hey, because you're cool and signed up, we're going to send you a free sample. And I went, I knew I did this for a reason. Free shit. That's my whole raison d'etre. And it arrived, and I had no idea what it was going to be. It's going to be their new limited run, and it's a coffee and cacao gin. Now, people who know me will know I'm not a coffee person, although I found a few drinks, liqueurs, spirits with a coffee element that falls within my purview. And when I smell this, there's a really obvious coffee aroma, which is a bit surprising for a gin, but the cacao's also there. And I'm thinking I could probably do something with this, but before I do something with this, I'm going to show you just some of their range. These are all from the Dark series. Only one of them is a gin. It's this one. It's a beeswax and olive gin that has a really interesting mouthfeel. They actually collaborated with the bar Maybe Sammy, which is in Sydney and has won all sorts of awards for being one of the best cocktail bars in the world. They've come up with a really interesting drink here, and they do say this is best in a martini or with Mediterranean tonic. I think just the olive element is great in a dirty martini as well, but it's a great martini gin. They also made this absinthe, an Australian absinthe, and it's got the beautiful classic flavour of a traditional absinthe. It has the wormwood, also has some Australian botanicals in there, and it's a natural colour. They didn't use any of the lurid artificial colourings that a lot of absinthe makers do. It's not as high alcohol content as some absinthe. It's 55%, so 110 proof, not to be sneezed at, but it tastes really good too. And there's a couple here that exhibit their sense of humour, which I really like. This one is their take on the European aquavit. They call it Stockholm Syndrome. So the description of this, it's caraway, fennel, and dill used to form the structure of the spirit base, complexity added through cinnamon, myrtle, ryeberry, macadamia, strawberry gum, all Australian natives. So that's their take on aquavit. And again, I love the sense of humour calling it Stockholm Syndrome. And this one is their take on Geneva. And they made this with Sullivan's Cove, who are a whiskey distillery. So it starts with their gin botanicals, but they also blended it with Sullivan's single malt casks. Well, actually, stumbled. This is another one that shows their sense of humor. It's their version of Jennifer. They call it Jennifer because Jennifer is actually a protected name under the EU rules. It can only be called Jennifer if it's made in a couple of places. So, bit cheeky calling it Jennifer. And so what they've done is they've started with their usual gin botanicals, and they've worked with a whiskey distillery, Sullivan's Cove, and they've used the new make spirit, so unaged whiskey essentially, from Sullivan's Cove, because if you're unfamiliar with Jennifer, it's a malt-based spirit, which eventually its influence led to the creation of gin in England. So Jennifer is between gin and whiskey. So using their traditional gin botanicals and blending it with new make whiskey, well, you can't call it whiskey because it's new make spirit, they've come up with their Jennifer. So they're incredibly creative people. So even though I'm not a coffee person, I'm definitely giving this coffee and cacao gin a chance. And well, first I'm going to try it just by itself. Fuck me. Okay, magic of editing. You didn't see that I just spilt some on myself, and you definitely can't see the spill stain on my shirt. Ugh. Feeling fancy, so I'm using my mini coupette to taste this. It's a completely clear gin, despite the fact it's coffee and cacao. And taste-wise, again, for a not coffee person, it's not too intense. The coffee really does roll in. It's a really earthy gin. It's a much earthier gin flavor than you're likely to get. And I think while the guys from Never Never did say they recommend this in a Negroni, if you know me, you know I don't like Campari, although I do have some local substitutes I can use. But I think rather than making a Campari, I'm going to go a bit left field. And because this has got these really deep, rich flavors, I'm going to make an old-fashioned with it. I'm going to make it like this. I legit did just tip this shit on myself. I'm a gosh darned idiot. So you've probably all been chatting while I've been doing that. That was 7 minutes. All right. Okay. So, making... Wait, did I forget to bring my ice in here? I collected some ice. No, I'm going to have to excuse myself for a minute, 30 seconds, and get some ice while I make this old-fashioned with the gin. Okay. Okay. That's really silly. I collected my ice and then I didn't bring it with me. Doing some bong hits. Nice. Oh, Scotch and soda. Nice. Oh, yes, I do know who Friendly Geordies is. I do like his commitment to anti-exploitative things. He's good on the green things. He's good on pro-union stuff. I think we diverge in terms of intersectional politics, but why dwell on differences? I say, okay, so now I am going to make this. So that involves bringing this over here and doing this with it. Go there. do this. All right. Okay. How much gin is in here? Still a little bit in there. Okay. Okay. Ready to go. See if my garnish works on this. Making a mess. Oh man, that's yummy sugar syrup. Gonna do 1 dash of chocolate bitters. And 1 dash of orange bitters. Okay. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2, we add some ice in there. What are we doing? All right. Okay, here we go. Stir it. Oh man, that is tasting pretty good. I just gotta check that camera's lined up. I'm going good, pro. That's actually pretty good. Okay. Let's strana this in. Fuck it. And for the garnish, I thought, seeing it's chocolate, I'm just gonna stick a chocolate star on it. Oh no, the chocolate star's slowly sliding off the front. I thought the decorating chocolate would make it stick, and it isn't really. Actually, that's working a bit better. And I'll just take a photo of that. All right. Right, almost done. Just got to taste it and do a little bit more talky, and then I'm going to sit down. Okay, so that's ready. Make sure this is ready. Okay, so that's ready. In a mixing glass, putting 60 mils or 2 ounces of the gin, then around a third of an ounce or 10 mils of brown sugar syrup. Then I'm doing 1 dash of chocolate bitters and 1 dash of orange bitters. Add ice to the glass, stir that for 20 to 25 seconds to chill and dilute the drink. Then strain that into a rocks glass over a big chunk of ice. And for a garnish, just because there's a cacao element in here, I'm putting a chocolate star on the front of my glass. I somewhat ruined the clarity of the gin by using the brown sugar syrup, but I think it was the right call. I think flavor-wise, it's going to go really well. That's actually my spiced apple brown sugar syrup, one of my favorite things I make. There is a recipe for it on my channel. You should check it out. It's also good for making liqueurs with dark spirits as well. But now I'm going to taste a coffee cacao gin old-fashioned and see what I think of it. See, even for someone who's not a coffee person, those flavors are just nice. They're coming through. I think I definitely made the right choice with the sugar syrup. And with the bitters, I was originally just going to do chocolate bitters, but I thought, no, orange goes so well with chocolate flavors as well. So I'm throwing that in. I mean, I possibly could have done an orange peel as a garnish as well, but I thought this would kind of stand alone. And it does. It's quite nice. So, of course, this is something that you can't really get. You might find a local distiller doing something very similar because there are really innovative and inventive distillers all around the world. But I feel like if you wanted to approximate this yourself with just a regular gin, you could use some actual coffee or a good coffee liqueur like Mr. Black, and maybe some creme de cacao. So in terms of this ratio, I'd say probably 1.5 ounces gin and half an ounce of Mr. Black and 10 mils of creme de cacao. Of course, then that's going to be much darker than this, but I think it'd probably be a good taste. I'm just saying, I think those flavors go together. The gin, the coffee, the cacao is a good mix. I'm enjoying this. I'm going to sit back and finish this off. So I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever you are, and I hope to see you again soon. Until I do, I'll say cheers. All right, let's sit down, laddie. Yeah. Save a little bit. I think Mrs. Angry wanted to taste that, so I'll save her some. I was just going to pour it all in my glass, and I thought, I think Mrs. Angry wanted to taste some. No, I'm nice, guys. I'm going to save some for her. All right, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to switch this off. Switch that off. Move this over here. Switch this off. Move it over there. Over there. Pull my chair up. Pull my chair up. Oh, and chickens are retired for the evening. I'm getting in my seat. Oh no, your co-worker passed on. Well, on the job, that's suck. Ugh. Please take care of yourself. I understand the having some drinks, not a permanent solution to feeling bad, but I do hope you look after yourself. Okay. Dontron, no, I don't use whiskey stones. I don't think they're a great idea because, okay, if you're just drinking whiskey, every serious whiskey person will tell you you don't want it cold anyway. And if you're drinking cocktails, have it with ice. I just don't think whiskey stones are a good idea. And hello, Justin. I said hello, Justin, I think. That is actually pretty pleasant. Just subdued coffee and cacao flavors. Just in less than 48 hours till you head to the USA. Ooh, look what did arrive today. Well, not arrived, it arrived a while ago. I just picked it up from the post office today. It's a book that Justin sent me. Ooh, Dontron, you're posting photos. I love photos. Um, oh, lovely picture of your. Sorry, we're making. Oh, that's right. I remember the glass blowing. We're making glass pipes. I'm going to share glass pipe pictures. Beautiful colors you've worked in there. Like really nice colors. And actually, design wise, that one's really interesting. Oh, wow. You look at those funky colors happening in there. That is really nice work. Excellent stuff. Ah, and there's the man doing the work. It looks really good, man. That is some great work. That is really good work. Oh yeah, of course pipes pay the bills, but they're works of art in themselves. That there's both the color you work into them and design of them is really nice. So you make a really nice sculptural piece and then you put a bowl in it and suddenly it's worth more. Yeah. Oh yes, thanks for reminding me, Justin. Your name in the book is Simon. So the book is actually that's kind of showing its age. I think that it says about Asperger's syndrome, Asperger's syndrome, adolescence and identity. The term Asperger's has fallen out of favor. So this was originally 2004. So yeah, 20 years ago. I think for a while Asperger's was in vogue because autism was regarded as had too many negative connotations. But I think more recently, people with autism have embraced the diagnosis. And also, Asperger, the person, was apparently a Nazi. So fuck that guy. Looking beyond the label. Yes. Asperger's. Well, Dontron, I'm not certainly not the right person to answer that. That was always the vibe I got about Asperger's. I know some people say Asperger's, but it's a German name, and I'm hardly an expert. But I just feel like with a German name, it would be Asperger. All right, so Simon's story's in here. We'll have to explore that one time, Luke. I also really thank you for sending me this. So it's like autism with a pinch of ADHD. Yeah, all I know is I don't know that clinicians have stopped using the term, but I know the term has fallen out of vogue. So, actually, I'm really happy with this. Oh God, don't run the fucking American system. Damn it, it's not a great health system. Oh gosh. All right, they're saying like, oh well, we're saying you're only mildly affected, so we're going to give you. I assume we're talking like Ritalin or something similar. It is pretty disturbing the degree to which kids can get dosed up in the US, actually. All right, I was going to give myself a piece of orange in this drink because I like a piece of orange. And I'm a good boy, so I deserve a treat. Yeah, Dontron, it was Ritalin. Yeah. Ritalin was in vogue for a while, wasn't it? Being prescribed so much. So a little bit more is gathered in there. Gotta put that in my drink. You know what? Because I'm a special boy, I'm going to give myself a cherry too. Cherry bomb. Yes, well, that is the weird thing. Like, Ritalin is an amphetamine, but if you're already naturally bouncing all over the place, it can level you out, which is weird and counterintuitive. But yeah, while I'm shit talking Ritalin, it can be very helpful for some people in some circumstances. Yeah, I think this is a technical term. Dexamphetamine. Yeah. Yes. Like I said, it can be used very well. It can be inappropriate. And yeah, it'd be like being on meth the whole time. It's absolutely an amphetamine, but so there are all sorts of bringing dangers in there. Oh yeah, now we're switching prescriptions. Modafinil, however we want to pronounce that. You use Vivance. I have no idea what gets prescribed in Australia these days. Oh, there you go, Dontron. You reckon the modafinil has the benefits without the side effects? Well, that's good. And yeah, no, there's no question, strictly Sega, as weird as it sounds, it can be a very effective treatment. Shieldsy, how you doing? Mind run a million miles an hour, but not the skills to get right. We're talking. Everyone's sharing ADHD stories now. There we go. Dontron military developed it. Oh well, yeah, because they've been giving pilots in particular, but some other branches of the armed forces as well. They've been giving pilots speed for ages to keep them sort of alert when they're on very long flights. Well, I think there's probably problems around the world, but we do seem to keep seeing stories of a whole range of drugs being massively overprescribed in America. Well, you know, with amphetamines, there was thing, and then there was, of course, the bloody opioid crisis as well. It's just like, God, if it's not one thing, it's another. Made up disorder you can tell your doctor about. My God. Was that shift work disorder? I need to stay away. Tism is making. Are you saying this is serious? This is serious, Mum? Are popular in Australia? For some reason, I was reading it as America. Then you said Australia, but I'm also wondering about the context. Ah, well, good. Yeah. Because Jesus Christ, there were some evil ones prescribed in the US in the last 10 years. They never really took off in Australia, which is a good thing. So, Honey posting a picture on the Discord where you found login details for Hotmail. So I still feel like I've missed a link somewhere, Strictly Sega. How did we end up talking about TISM? Yes, there you go. You had an oxycodone addiction started with legit prescriptions. And that's what it get everyone, because the evil fuckers in the companies said, this is not addictive. And it super was. They're bad, bad people. And of course, that leads to terrible things like, okay, pharmaceutical companies generally are evil fuckers, and it is worth pointing out. But then you get people go in a weird direction, like they call sorry, I just got distracted by a comment because I suddenly realized how thick I was being. Good God. Tism is autism, the tism. I thought you were. It was what we were talking about. What is wrong with me? So it's not login details, it's a 30-character code to let someone into your Hotmail. If you die or can't remember your password. Okay, I did not, because it was on the side and I didn't want to do that and I didn't Zoom read it. Weaned yourself off meth with Kratom. I have heard a couple people say they had positive experiences with Kratom, actually. Fix things. Don't know how I did it. Yep. No, that's a good one. Oh, the Nazis actually were pretty notorious for handing out the equivalent of meth to their soldiers. Justin, let's just say vaping is very bad. Is it as bad as cigarettes? I think it's bad in different ways. It is bad. It's definitely bad. And it's mainly because of evil opportunists. It didn't, I feel like it didn't have to be bad, but it is. It definitely is. You're saying Goering was caught with 10,000 pills in his briefcase. Good Lord. Kratom definitely sounds weird. I'll say that. Oh, well, this is fun. The Nazis invented cold cooking method for methamphetamine. Yeah. Yeah, apparently Hitler was on a just quite freaky cocktail of drugs at a certain point. Which is the only thing Hitler ever did wrong. Oops. Wait, no, I just thought of something else he did wrong. Sorry. It's not just the drugs. So the Japanese invented synthesis in the 1800s, but the Germans, well, you know, Germans and efficiency. Oh, God, they were obsessed with the Ubermensch idea. What was that meant to do? You could all. Was that just meant to turn you into a fucking raging psycho? Everything goes sideways with me, Shieldsy. Superman pill had cocaine, meth, and oxycodone. Jesus. That's a blitzkrieg in pill form. My God. I think so. Just, you know, to lighten up, take meth, I think is our message tonight. Hashtag just joking, kids. Don't do meth. But yes, there is some very weird stuff through history. Questionable decisions made. Oh, of course, that's going to ruin you. You'll have this brief period of time where you feel fantastic, but it's going to rip you to pieces. Very, 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 very bad come down, I would assume. I'm gonna have my little clarified cocktail. Actually, that's probably not an unreasonable connection. Doing these out of control drugs, reducing your inhibitions and making you more open to doing war crimes. Fantastic hashtag, strictly Sega. Yeah, kids, you only live once. Do you want to live at 1,000 miles an hour? Leave all the normies in your wake? See the face of God? Discover worms crawling under your skin? What about all those normies who don't know they've got worms crawling under their skin? The industrial death camp system. Well, I feel like you can't do that stuff if you're not on something. Or am I just underestimating how shit some humans are? Oh, man. Oh, man. Those clarified cocktails are absolutely kick-ass. I don't think the First World War made Hitler nuts. I think it made him vengeful. I think it was eventual stress and maybe, yeah. Do drugs lead to fascist zeal, or do they just pair up really well with fascist zeal? Can be dangerous. Oh, fucking yum. Oh, Dontron, there's I haven't done one of my standard lines for ages, talk about the Behind the Bastards podcast, but they do have some really good episodes about the connections between World War One and World War Two, and how certain far right elements in Germany felt about losing World War One and who they blamed it on. Actually, I was just thinking, I feel like I haven't listened to Behind the Bastards for a couple of weeks. Like, I'm going to be really behind on episodes. The True Story of Dracula. Well, I kind of want to listen to that. That must have been for Halloween. The Deadliest Workplace Disaster in US History. Hawk's Nest Tunnel Project. Okay, yeah, the last one I listened to was in October. It was the Gordon Liddy episodes. There were 6 episodes. So then they did a 2-party, which sounds really cheerful, Deadliest Workplace Disaster in US History, True Story of Dracula, The Surprising Evil of 1950s Men's Adventure Magazines. That sounds like fun, because I've only seen images of those magazines and they look very weird. So that sounds kind of fun. All right, I do need to catch up with that. But they have some good ones about, and in fact, also the precursors to World War One, and how there was an almost Hitler in the late 1800s. So it's just like Germany was fucking primed for a charismatic fascist leader. Ooh, Strictly Sega, what does You Must Remember This cover? Oh, you heard those ones? Okay, I'm going to have to listen to them. I just suddenly realized I hadn't listened to it for weeks. Oh, as Liddy is definitely fascinating, and as Evan said in the podcasts on him, you know what? At least he was consistent, and he had this weird internal integrity. Absolutely horrible, monstrous person, but he's inspired all these modern day grifters who have no integrity whatsoever. I mean, you know, Liddy's integrity was to his awful, almost fascist ideals. But at least he had integrity. Can't help feeling that the US is primed for fascist leader. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they referenced that. I have not watched that yet. I think that's on one of the things I'm subscribed to for streaming. Thank you for the recommendation, Dontron. I might try and remember to or give that a go. Currently, rewatching The Expanse with Mrs. Angry. Gosh darn it. Oh, that little bit of smokiness. And that is really good. Speaking of a little bit of smokiness, Mrs. Angry is a real tea aficionado. We got dozens of weird and wonderful and exotic teas in the house. And she ordered some more. And I'd said, like, I've been trying to get this smoky tea that no one stocks anymore, Lapsang Souchong, because I wanted to use it in clarified cocktails. And so she ordered me some Lapsang Souchong, which arrived today. She's like, okay, I got to use that in a cocktail. Be a clarified cocktail. Use a tea base and put some other strong flavors in there. All right, you really rank Justin Theroux as Liddy. Okay, cool. So okay, but what's Stricker? Give me some context for the You Must Remember This podcast. They're doing erotic 90s. Like, what's the overall sort of ethos of the podcast? Pretty firmly believe Howard Hunt was directly involved in the Kennedy assassination. Well, it's just so strange. The whole Kennedy thing has such strange people around it. All right, so what are they? They're like pop culture reviewers, analyzers. Basic Instinct and Thelma and Louise. Okay. Well, see, Dontron, if you're a child, you don't want to be remembering that as erotic because that seems wrong. I'm just saying. Okay, so here's the thing: confessions, etc. People will do stuff to big note themselves, like that Scorsese film, The Irishman. Is the guy who basically claims he killed Jimmy Hoffa, and I think he said the mafia were responsible for the Kennedy assassination. But it's like, that guy was a fabulist. He was, and also a narcissist, and he was talking himself up. It's just so hard to know. So You Must Remember This is a podcast about secret or forgotten history of Hollywood's first century. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, because that's the originally. Actually, I don't know originally, but Louis Armstrong recorded a version of You Must Remember This, and it was often tied in with Hollywood nostalgia. Oh yeah, was it 3 hours? The Scorsese film. Well, I think I watched The Irishman in 3 stretches. Yeah, it's not 3 hours, it's 2 hours and 58 minutes. Ugh. Flowers of the Blood Moon or something? I mean, it looks pretty intense. Oh. But yes. Scorsese is a really gifted filmmaker, definitely. I don't love everything he did, but you can't realistically deny his talent as a filmmaker. Yeah, I mean, 3 hours, I'm going to have a break at some point, or not drink anything for 3 hours before the film, but then I'm going to be dehydrated during the film. I think there are websites that tell you the best time to go out for a pee in movies. Like, when a movie's released, they go and see it and they go, well, okay, there was this 3-minute bit you can afford to miss. So that's where you run out and pee. I think Tarantino is also a very good filmmaker, and he's a generation younger than the 70s guys, Scorsese and Coppola and Spielberg, and even Eastwood. I have huge problems with Clint Eastwood, but on a technical level, he's an extremely competent filmmaker. Yeah, Dontron. I don't think I'm going to see the 3-hour Scorsese movie in the cinemas. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't go to cinemas much because I'm hyper paranoid about getting COVID, which I just had a couple of weeks ago. So I might talk to Mrs. Angry and say, "Hey, do we feel super strong?" And I'm not going to. But I don't think there's anything that I super duper want to see in the cinema at the moment. Yes, Babylon was long. I was glad I was watching that streaming because I also did take breaks with Babylon. That was well over 2 hours, if I remember. So yeah. Ooh, yes, De Palma's a good director. Oh, God, I feel like I watched Dress to Kill when it was a new movie and not since. Surreal to see the perceptions. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, no, there was a lot of not good representation back in the day. And I think if you're being most charitable, you'd say it's just lack of understanding and wanting to come up with something. It's kind of like albinos have always been portrayed as weirdos or demonically possessed or murderous, and it's just because albinos look so strikingly different. It's really, it can't feel good if you're actually albino and almost the only representation you ever see in media is they're possessed or alien or crazy killer type things. I don't think I ever sat through Powder, but I do remember the movie. Yes. I did hear that it was a whole thing. If cinemas do an intermission, there's a whole thing that goes with it. Yes. Well, see, Justin, there should be and is, but you know, Dontron, I had a bunch of vaccines and boosters, which probably contributes to how it only felt like a mild cold when I had COVID. But it's still a risk. Long COVID, long-term effects. We don't really know. It's like, fuck. So, it's a complicated world. It's a very complicated world, I'll say. So, yeah. Trying to think what movies I've been in that had an official intermission. Way back in the day, Gandhi with Ben Kingsley playing Gandhi. That had an intermission. Hey, Safa, how you going, man? Oh, you saw Dumb Money. What did you think of it? That I saw the trailers for that. Looked at least vaguely entertaining. Oh my god, I saw the trailer for that Netflix movie that Zach, what's his name's making. It's like because he didn't get to make a Star Wars movie, Rebel Moon. Looks fucking cool. Honestly, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not a Snyder stan. I don't hate Snyder's stuff. I think some of his stuff's really. I'm a huge fan of 300, actually, for all its flaws and all the things you can pick on. It's just like, I really like the visuals in it. So he's got this sci-fi epic in 2 parts on Netflix. It's like his consolation for not getting to make a Star Wars film. They seem to even have laser swords in it. And it might all be hype and you can put out a good trailer for what ends up being a shit film. But yes. Oh God, Ron DeSantis is just a disaster. Was he claiming a proud military career? Was he? Okay. Was he in the medical corps? Oh, okay. So dumb money was okay, but you don't learn anything new if you followed GameStop. It was hard not to. The GameStop thing was humorous and also highlighted how the game is fixed, as did The Big Short. That was the most interesting bit for me in the movie The Big Short, when these people realized the banks and the mortgage lenders had fucked up, and it was impossible for the market to not collapse. So they bet on the market collapse. Yeah, the banks and the brokers tried to avoid paying them out. And it was just like bullshit. Oh, you watched The Killer. Okay, yeah. I was going to watch that too. I might watch that this weekend. Okay, Dontron, you've enjoyed it too. So, so just like DeSantis was a professional cockwatcher. That's got more integrity than his political career, honestly. But yeah, I'll probably watch that Killer one this weekend. I know Mrs. Angry won't want to watch it, so. But yeah, the Snyder pseudo Star Wars movie looks interesting. Oh, there was so much to love in The Big Short, all the things, and just the funny stylized things they do, like Margot Robbie in a hot tub explaining the complicated things to you just so you'll pay attention. That was pretty funny. Oh, you're talking about RFK Jr.? He's not, we're saying he's batshit insane. He says batshit insane stuff. He might just be saying that cynically. His problem is he's a cynical, exploitative liar. He's pandering to extremists. He's just trying to trade off the Kennedy name. I think his attempt to destabilize the Democratic candidate, I don't think it's going to work, but who the fuck knows? But yeah, here's the thing. So, Dontron, you agree with some of his non-medical takes. He's just saying populist shit. I don't think he believes any of it, and he's really going for lowest common denominator still. Like, he did start off saying relatively reasonable things, and then he's just done this race for the bottom shit. I just think he's a really cynical, lying, manipulative scam artist. So Justin, oh God, the ACD Greens MP, yes, resigned. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good thing. Okay, he used to be a Republican, and George W. Bush is like, oh, okay, no, don't want to support him. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's just like US politics has become so debased, and that's so dangerous for the rest of the world. If anyone on the planet's a space lizard, it's Dick Cheney. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. I was no. Do I mean funny? Yes, I do. he got an artificial heart that's just a continuous pumping thing, so he doesn't have a heartbeat, and he's ended up in that wheelchair looking like Dr. Strangelove, and he doesn't have a heartbeat. It's like, wow, this is all a bit on the nose, honestly. I do not know. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Yeah, that whole port shutdown thing was a bit of a. Yeah, I think he's had a transplant because the artificial hearts won't keep you alive very long. But yeah, just that whole thing that he was in a wheelchair looking like Dr. Strangelove, and he didn't have a heartbeat because his mechanical heart didn't pulse like a heart. It was a continuous pump. Um, my God, so fucking weird. Celtic, hello, how you doing? Oh yeah, no, it's. I saw a thing with a stand-up comedian doing a thing like, someone preying on a teenager, calling them a pedophile is technically not accurate because there are these different words. Pedophile means uh, sexual fixation on prepubescence, and there's another word for early pubescent, and there's another word for being fixated on mid-pubescence with children, and and then the little routine finishes with the comedian saying, "But there's not much point in making this argument uh, because if you obsessively make those distinctions, you sound like a pedophile." Yes, a phebophile is in there, and it's just like basically you're a creeper and dangerous, and you're a predator. But yeah, it was a decent payoff. He said, "Well, technically, there's this, and there's this, and there's this, but there's not much point in arguing those technical definitions because you just sound like a pedophile." Oh man, that's so fucking okay. It's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna stop drinking alcohol. Look. Oh yeah, libertarians and the age of consent, little unsettling. And again, particularly the modern internet libertarians, they're really just conservatives or even further right wing people who don't want laws to apply to them and have a freaking age of consent fixation. Um, I say this because I'm old and I remember the 90s when, the Reagan into Bush um, uh, actual libertarians were avowedly uh, um, actual American libertarians were avowedly anti-Republican because they were just continually proposing such uh, invasive rules. Oh well, Jesus Christ, Dontron, those different uh, legal standards with men and women, males and females, boys and girls, are a fucked up thing. They're absolutely fucked up. Yeah, it used to. Ron Paul for a while had some legitimacy, and I don't know. He went off the fucking rails. Oh, but Rand, his son, Rand has no morals, has no integrity, is just a self-serving grifter. But yeah, Ron Paul just ended up getting into all this conspiracy shit and anti-Semitism and oh God, sorry, am I getting uncomfortable about age of consent discussions? Yes, I am. But yeah, it's society is weird and fucked up, and whatnot. What? Okay, I'm not completely familiar with that. Rand Paul getting his head kicked by his 68-year-old neighbor. That is definitely funny. So it also just made me think of Buzz Aldrin punching a moon landing denier. Fucking hilarious. Guy 30 years younger than him, and he's just a real asshole. I also think this guy did genuinely believe the moon landing conspiracies, which is very worrying because it shows an appalling lack of critical thinking to get into that. I think this guy genuinely believed it. And I just point that out because I think a lot of the people who spout the conspiracy stuff don't believe it. They're just pandering and they're just trying to manipulate people. I think this guy did believe it, and he was just harassing Buzz Aldrin when he was with some people, I think. And Buzz Aldrin just snaps and turns around and goes, "Kapow!" That's right. It was with his children. Yeah. And so Rand Paul's thing was a property dispute, and he got taken out by a 68-year-old. Okay, cool. That's the big one, the mirror on the moon. And because they know where that is, they can still bounce a laser off it. But it's just oof. And what's difficult, like you get people on social media laughing and mocking flat earthers and stuff. And it's like, well, having gone into some of these conspiracy sites, what's clearly happening? You get these people who truly, deeply believe an inherently stupid conspiracy. But then on their various discussion platforms and whatnot, and trolls go on there and just say super out there shit to try and push the weirdness on the conspiracy boards into weirder and weirder stuff. And it works. People who are trolling will go on to flat earth discussion boards, moon landing deny boards, and just throw out weirder and weirder shit. And they drag the conversation further and further into the weirdness. So the true believers end up repeating this absolutely weird shit that trolls put out there. Okay, you're saying there was some faking from the... Okay, look, okay. Legit, the Soviets used to fake lots of stuff. I've not really heard of them faking space race stuff. But they faked just an enormous amount of stuff. In retrospect, it's very difficult to believe virtually anything that came out of the entire Soviet era. Oh, we want a reliable skeptic like James Randi. I see that you connected that with an I, but I like him with a Y. Carl Sagan. Yeah, they were both pretty good. There's been some really weird twists where people who start off seeming like really reasonable people who are just being sensibly skeptical about things and go down weird conspiracy rabbit holes. Neil deGrasse Tyson can be difficult, and there's some very questionable stuff about him. But I don't know. He does do that. He's definitely got smartest man in the room syndrome. I guess in his defense, a lot of the time he is, but you're right. A little bit of humility would not go astray. And you always got the vibe with someone like Carl Sagan, there was a lot of humility there. It's kind of like I was quite a fan of Penn and Teller, and they did that series or multiple series years ago called Bullshit, where they were basically, had their cynic hat on, and they're saying, "Oh, I don't think this is right." And it was great to watch because they're really good performers. And they were taking apart some people who definitely needed to be taken apart. But they do have a very right-wing libertarian outlook. And it was good to see them do stuff that I disagreed with, because then I could go, you are being incredibly selective and you are not getting actual experts in here. And I feel like you're being very self-serving and that you're only showing people who will reinforce your point. And that was good therapy almost, because the vast majority of it I agreed with, but there was some I didn't. And I was like, oh, you either, like all of us, have blind spots, or sometimes you're kind of self-serving or whatnot. It's like, oh, that's good to know. That's good to know, because I don't want to like be in the equivalent of a cult where I'm essentially like worshiping something. They're right about everything. No one's right about everything. So I think it is really good to see someone that you agree with a lot and then realize there's some things, because when you don't agree with them, you can see, oh, I can feel how you selectively present things here. When you are selectively presenting stuff that I agree with, I was like, easy. But when you were selective about stuff I don't agree with, well, see, here's the thing, Dontron, I would disagree. I think, and I can't define why America has a problem that nowhere else in the world has. But I don't think it's possible to argue that America doesn't have a gun violence problem that nobody else in the world has. Everywhere else in the world has incidents of gun violence, but there is a problem in America that does not exist anywhere else in the world. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the solution is. I believe the ease with which virtually anyone in the US can get weapons of mass slaughter is indefensible. It's ridiculous. But I think it's certainly possible to argue that's not the only problem, the availability of the weapons. I absolutely think it's possible for people to be completely responsible gun owners. You think it's just about the general devaluing of life? See, again, I'm just going to be super open. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why I mean, you can look at some things and go, I feel like there's a spectrum of things that contribute to it. And I would literally just be talking way outside my area of expertise. But I will confidently say, because I don't think you can rationally argue against it, I will confidently say there is a problem in America that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. It doesn't exist on that scale. And when I scale, it's not even close. It isn't even close. And of course, it wasn't always that way. It absolutely was not always that way. It started to get bad in the 70s. And it's like post-Reagan. Like everything got worse post-Reagan. but it accelerated post-Reagan. The whole idea of deregulation and no limits and no controls is definitely part of the problem, in my opinion. Oh gosh, Shriki said you're having a household discussion on amphetamines. Okay, see, again, it's a particular brain chemistry thing. If amphetamines mellow you out, as we're talking about, it can be an incredibly effective ADHD treatment. Yeah, manifest destiny is a problem in my mind. That goes back a long way. I think it's an incredibly complex issue, and I definitely don't have answers. I know, which is a radical thing to do on the internet, to say you don't have the answers to everything, but I'm just being honest, I don't have all the answers. I mean, probably that does sound familiar, like something I've heard. It's got to do with dopamine receptors and things like that. I've heard of clubs doing things like that, giving you paper straws. But there's a whole problem with drink spiking, and that really evil bastards, they'll just manipulate someone with alcohol. You know, they'll ask for uh, 4 shots of vodka and then, a soda, and say it's, for different people, but then they'll tip like all the vodka into the soda and tell the woman that they're trying to manipulate, or the woman that they're being a predator towards, that it's just a single. But yeah, it's the whole drink spiking thing is really complex. Ah, yes, because you were working at the arena, yeah, insisting women have lids on their drinks, yeah. So was that Justin's Second Amendment? Oh God, that whole thing with the Second Amendment and the way people go on about it in the US frustrates and sickens me, because it's inherently fundamentally stupid to go, well, this thing that was done 250 years ago should fucking do the thing. And it's like, shut the fuck up. The idea that someone 250 years ago could have any value to add to a discussion today about the technology and machinery of today, it's just like, shut the fuck up. I don't actually mind if you think, look, as a principle, I think this, but this ridiculous horse shit you see in the US, where people talking about, oh, the Constitution. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Well, but that's the point. It's about, you know, well-regulated militia, and it's the idea that they're not well-regulated militias anyway, and but then just becoming this whole thing with just horrifically dangerous, murderous weapons propagating in an uncontrolled fashion is just ridiculous. And again, people calling up the Constitution is a fucking farce. Like, it's inherently fucking stupid. It's like, you absolutely cannot say, I'm going to consult the founding fathers over whether this weapon of mass murder is a good. They had no conception of a weapon like that existing. The stuff they wrote down is fucking worthless. You need to just be a rational, sane person and say, what's a good idea and what isn't a good idea. And Still there, but just obsessing about things like the Constitution. Shut the fuck up. The founding father. Shut the fuck up. And yes, Justin, they can't, as you point out, machine guns, tanks, rocket launchers, nukes. There are limits. Oh, that's a fun one. They say the puckle gun existed. Rapid fire 8-shot mini cannon thing. Oh, yeah, but again, the pro gun arguments are absurd. And it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But when you honestly, as fucking dark as it is, the rest of the world, absolutely horrified at the never-ending stream of mass shootings in the US and thinking, oh, you've got to do something, um, and but honestly, Sandy Hook, little white kiddies, like toddlers, preschoolers, being murdered and nothing changed. Go, well, that's it. Nothing's ever changing. If you can murder little white kids, little white toddlers, and nothing happens, nothing is ever going to happen. So you've looked into this Dontron with machine guns, unless it was prior to 1986, you need a Class 3 license to get an automatic rifle. And pre-86 versions go to 20 to 30,000 now. Oof. Okay, sorry, just talking about machine guns and old things. Dontron, you should search out an Australian TV series called Mr. In Between. I think there's 3 seasons of it. The central character is essentially a hitman. In the Australian crime scene, because he gets his hand on a machine gun at one point. I think it's like a World War II vintage machine gun. If you haven't already, you love Mr. In Between. I rewatched it not long ago. Fucking great show. Such a good show. Getting you to sympathize with a guy who's essentially a hitman. Yes, he gets a Sten gun. It's like a special present he gets. Oh, dear. You don't want to take Mr. In Between too seriously because, there's a lot of plot convenience in it to sort of prop up Ray's worldview. The central character's name is Ray Shoesmith. Yeah, but Dontron, I think you and I both know people who get weirdly fixated on fictional characters and think they should be emulated. Yeah. Well, yeah, but again, you do need to switch off some of your higher sort of rational and cognitive thinking things and just enjoy the show. But yeah, it's kind of like, the people who worship Tyler Durden from Fight Club. It's like, you're missing the point, guys. You are missing the point. Oh, nice contribution, Greg. I do remember Machine Gun Fellatio. I think I have an EP of theirs, the one that's got Isaac or Fuzz on it. Really, really funny track where they got, one of them was working in a record store in Adelaide, and they used this bit that came into work on Monday, and there was a recorded message on their answering machine saying, I'm looking for a thing I heard at a disco party, and it goes like this. Dun, 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 and they make music behind it. So that's Pig Bag. I think that goes by the name of that particular thing. And they do their own music behind it. And they're just like, call me back on this number. Ask for Isaac or Fuzz. Safa, I had a gin old-fashioned and I had a couple of doses of my clarified cocktails, which are comparatively low ABV. Yes, yeah, guys who idolize Patrick Bateman, they're fucking weird. Oof, insoles. Okay. Here's the weirdest thing that a lot of people don't know. The phrase incel, involuntary celibate, and the original sort of movement, the mutual support for the involuntary celibate, was started by a woman, and in its original incarnation, it was a positive thing. It was for people who were like, I can't form a relationship and I would really like to. I am involuntarily celibate. And I want some mutual support so I don't feel really bad about myself all the time. And it got hijacked by extremely right-wing and violent men who just fucking hate women. And like AIDSy and I had always talked about doing a series of videos for the incels. Who knows? I might even still do it one day, but just trying to frame things positive is like, okay, if this is how you see yourself, you're involuntarily celibate. You would like to have a relationship with someone. Let's talk about a positive way to do that. And it's like at the simplest level, if you're trying to have a relationship or just get it on with someone, if you don't see the other person as a whole entire person in their own right, a person with thoughts, wants, desires, aspirations, it's not going to work out for you. If you go in from a point of negativity, that's going to come across, and you're never going to successfully connect with the people you want to because they'll fucking get you. Oh God, Jordan Peterson. Guy got put into a medical coma. Well, I mean, I would literally go, the guy who almost died following his own advice maybe doesn't have good advice. All right, Greg, you looked it up. Machine Gun Fellatio were formed in 97. They were active for about 10 years, if I remember rightly. You remember the girl of your dreams giving you nightmares over the radio. There you go. So, kind of like I've occasionally had people go, oh, well, I take some positive stuff from Jordan Peterson, and I can't resist saying to them, go, oh, what's your favorite thing? Was it when he was crying because people didn't love the baby Jesus enough, or when he almost died following his own advice? And also, the meat only diet was he lies all the time, and the lies he tells are so obvious and so blatant and so stupid. Like when he literally said he was eating nothing but it's like meat and salt. Like he wouldn't season the meat with anything but salt. And he's just so obviously lying. And he did this one thing saying something about he drank some cider and didn't sleep for a week. He just fucking lies all the time. And here's the thing. Has Jordan Peterson said things that are true? Absolutely. Absolutely he has. Does he have any integrity whatsoever? No. He might have at one time, but he became a self-promoting culture war grifter. He's just It's just oh yeah, the Hindu gurus who what did they used to say? Like they hadn't eaten anything for 5 years or something, and gullible Westerners would go there and believe them. Yes, I survive off sunlight. Yeah, and it's just like yes. Oh, great. What was that game with the doubt? It was the crime solving one. Suffer, no, I don't have an online nemesis. It's just I've had various weirdos obsess over me online over the years. I don't believe that's the same thing. Oh my god, that's right. LA Noir. I love that as a meme. People just posting the picture of the detective character with the X doubt thing underneath it when someone says something really stupid online. Oh Jesus. Oh, see, there was a whole when I was really serious. So this is like I don't know. Was it? I lose track of time. Was it 10 years ago when I was really aggressively in into the politics on YouTube? There was this weird cottage industry of aspiring right wing populist grifters who do stuff attacking me and I would basically never respond because it's like, you're a fucking weirdo. Well, here's the weird thing. I think originally that Count Dankula didn't want to be created, didn't want to be taken seriously. But then he just got on that whole right wing grift thing. Um, I don't think he wanted to be taken seriously. I think he was just having fun. And then there was the, what did I call him? Fuckhead McHitler dog. But here's the thing: when he took that personally and then did video attacking me, that was legit because I literally I did do the thing where I sought out people on YouTube to have fucking fights with. It was literally only um, because he was in the media, and I didn't really defend him, but I did say I thought a lot of the media reporting was hyperbole and inaccurate. But I did call him fuckhead McHitler dog because I just thought he's a prick. I don't know anything about him, but I think he's a prick. And then he did a video attacking me, which was legit because I did one attacking him first, which is not something I normally do, but it's just because he was in the news. No, of course, Jordan Peterson's never heard of me. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm so far below Jordan Peterson's level of notice. Yeah, no, yes, that actually reminded me, Dontron. The idea of him being prosecuted for hate speech, I was really annoyed by because I felt like it cheapened actual hate speech prosecutions. I just thought it's a guy being a dickhead on the internet, doing something stupid that he thought would wind some people up. Just having this freak out hate speech. It's like, no, in my opinion, you're undermining legit prosecutions of hate speech. Oh, you know, the British hate speech laws are fucked. And they've tried to introduce really similar ones in Australia, which is also fucked. Oh, God, there were so many sock puppet channels, Greg. It was ridiculous. Yes, the guy got his dog to salute Hitler to upset his girlfriend. Like I said, he deserves to be told he's a dickhead. But the idea of prosecuting him under hate speech laws, I'm absolutely not on board with that. Which is something he seemed to overlook that I said that. He was just really riled up that I said he was a dickhead. And then he just outed himself as being an absolute steaming pile of shit. What the fuck is this, Dontron? Is this in England? An autistic girl got dragged out of home for saying a female cop looked like her aunt who was a lesbian. I said, oh, wow. Yeah, no, law enforcement in the UK does some, actually, law enforcement everywhere does some really fucked up things, actually. But, oof. Man, have we all agreed this world is messed up? Because it kinda is. Sad fuck of ours heads. Oh yeah, no, and he couldn't stop himself from just, and he like he was doing legitimate hate speech. He was doing stuff that at the very least he deserved severe censure for. It's like he couldn't understand the difference between actually being involved in politics and public life and being a shit poster on the internet. It's like, dude, you can't be both. Um, you can't do, unless you're Donald Trump, who somehow gets away with it, you can't behave like an internet shit poster while trying to make it in politics and public life. That's just unintelligent behavior. Did he actually, was it Mosley that he was using? Most famous British Nazi from the 40s. Oh yeah, no, but he's a grifter. Like all these right wingers, they don't stand for anything. They're just grifting. Nick Fuentes is a legit fascist, isn't he? Not an expert on him, but my understanding is like he's a legit fascist. Safa, it seems almost inevitable that Trump's going to get the Republican nomination, which is hilarious because he just avoids the debates. The contempt he has for them is very funny. But oh my god, it's just ridiculous. When I despair for US politics, I'm essentially despairing for the world because US politics has such a huge effect on the world. It can affect a lot of countries more than their own governments can. That's ridiculous. Oh, God, was that a thing that happened? Was that one meeting? Nick Fuentes and Kanye meeting Trump? Jesus Christ. Safa, not really. Maybe only half. It's only a Tuesday. Did have some drinks. I've been drinking soda water for the last hour. And that's all I'm probably going to do. Although I might put something flavorful in this before the end of the night. To put a bit more flavor in the cherry and in the orange peel to go in Mrs. Angry's hot chocolate in the morning. No, I had my microwave dinner tonight. So that was a legit thing. Kanye and Fuentes and Trump all like, Jesus fucking Christ. What a bunch of intellectual giants. Oh my God. All disconnected from reality in their own way. Yeah, no, Kanye seems to have definitely lost his grip on reality. Weirdly, I think when Trump started, he was conscious of what was real and what isn't. And I feel like he's bought into his own bullshit. Like, I get a vibe Trump really doesn't know what's real and what's not anymore. And Fuentes is just a shameless, grifting, wannabe fascist. He's just garbage. Yeah. I think we say the entire situation is fucked. We'll leave it at that. Safi, you had butter chicken with a microwave meal. I had what was it? It's garlic Kiev, chicken Kiev, which they spell the Ukrainian way, which is nice. It's a nice little thingy. So it's the chicken and a creamy sauce. It was like crumbed chicken, creamy sauce, peas, and um, other veggies. Like I was going to say the wrong thing, but yeah, it was veggies and chicken and a creamy sauce, and it was yummy. Oof. Yeah, no, that entire swath of the world is a super dangerous area at the moment. Yes, I think Trump, and that's the second time he's done it. I think yeah, no, Don Tron, it's fucked, man. Um, no one gets to hold their head up. It's fucked, and it's just so dangerous as well. Oh yeah, you're the Biden hasn't done any real senior moment things for a little while that I can remember. Trump's doing them now. The Ukrainian way is KYIV, I think, and KIEV, I think, is meant to be the Russian way. Obviously, they use a different alphabet, but yes, the Ukrainian way is KYIV. I think asterisk. I might be really wrong. I just occasionally get embarrassed. Oh, I think it's that, but I could be really wrong. Oh, good. Did that happen? He nodded off. He does the weirdest fucking shit, honestly. But I genuinely think he's more together cognitively and physically than Trump. It's and I do notice the media playing that up a bit with Trump, that he's getting basic stuff like mentioning Obama being president and whatnot. But it doesn't matter to his supporters. Um, oh, we're talking about Biden in the past. Did he advocate for re-cigarette? I mean, in the late 70s, he was. Ugh. I mean, he's like, got those mid 20th century white guy ideals. No two ways about it. I don't want my children growing up in a racial jungle. Yeah, that sounds like something he'd say. But in the 90s, the Clintons did that super predator shit. They were pandering to scared white people, saying, "Oh yeah, no, there's absolute," yeah, and it was barely coded language to go, "Oh yeah, it's black guys," you know. So the Democratic Party in the US has a lot of guilt with racism. Oh yeah, we're talking about max ages? Absolutely. Term limits and age. Yeah. There there are there are freaky old people who are just cognitively not there in positions of power, including the presidency. I'm gonna eat my chocolate star, not chocolate starfish. That's just meant to be a cake decoration. It's still okay though. Not really high quality chocolate. It's okay. Oh god, but they've all got it. Like Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein, who literally just died, if I remember rightly. Oh yeah, no, he literally his brain stopped working twice recently. And what's the other senior Democrats that are so fucking old? I lose track of them. There's so many of them, just freakishly old people whose whose cognitive and physical functions aren't there. Yes, he's not a space lizard, he's a space turtle. Yes, and that thing with Ruth Bader Ginsburg not resigning. She should have retired when fucking Obama was president. Chuck Schumer is a bad one. Sanders I've never seen act a bit weird, but Pelosi definitely seems questionable. But again, just these absurdly old people clutching on to power is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And when you see them clearly suffering cognitively and physically, for fuck's sake, just let go of power, you freaks. Oh, yes. No, Feinstein was really bad. Feinstein was not functioning. Jesus. That was bad. The rest of them, there's problems. Feinstein was so bad. It's like a broken system that lets people like that stay in office. It's just like, no, you just shouldn't be in office. What the fuck? It's very weird. That's the saying, Safa. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And people, and honestly, the people who chase power are often the least fit to have it. Fun fact. When Feinstein was a San Francisco politician, she literally flew the Confederate flag. Oh, it is as a free speech protest thing. Yeah, that was the thing. In the 70s, that's like, Sid Vicious wearing a swastika. I don't think he was a Nazi, but he was doing it to upset people. I think you mean Bob Catter, Safa. And yeah, he occasionally does things that make it look like he's not cognitively all there. Leonard Skinner had it as album covers. Yeah. And I don't know a lot about Leonard Skinner, but I don't think they were racists. I think, yeah, it can be a complicated issue. And times change. And as that old saying, some things do not age well. And there's certainly a difference between doing it now and doing it in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Yes. No, the Civil War wasn't about slavery. It's about states' rights to keep people as slaves. Like in the Declaration of the Confederate States, they literally referred to themselves as the slave-owning states. It's just so fucking ridiculous how some people carry on. Anyway, I'm going to put something in this just to give it a bit more flavor before I go to bed. Oh, God, the lost cause thing. That was invented in it was either the late 1800s or early 1900s. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I love people from the south of the US. But there's just these some of the shit that's gone on in schools. Yeah, and you know it firsthand. There are whole aspects of Southern US culture that I fucking love. And I'm saying this as a white guy. I love I love bits of Southern US culture, but Jesus Christ. Hernando de Soto is actually based. And who's actually a mass murdering man. Oh, strictly saying, look it up. Look up Lost Cause US Civil War. It's these weirdos, weird reactionaries from the South trying to romanticize the war, and it's just fucked. And it's kind of like all those statues they want to protect because of heritage. They were only raised in the segregation era as a threat to black people, basically. I'll start asking you the big questions. Is US KFC any good anymore? So Lost Cause was the Confederates fighting for states' rights against a tyrannical federal government. Yeah, and it was just about slavery. It was slavery. The whole thing was slavery. Ooh, there's a fast food chicken place called Bojangles. All right. I'm just going to put something to put a bit of flavor into this. What'll I do? What'll I do? What's this one that's almost full? Aquavit. They don't want to put Aquavit in it. That's really herbal. You know what? I genuinely, I might just put a little splash of this absinthe in here. Mrs. Angry probably won't like that. That's what I'll put in. My blood orange liqueur in a giant skull. It's not a giant skull, it's a smaller than real skull. But it's my homemade blood orange liqueur. Made with real blood oranges. I've heard of Popeyes. Fried shrimp chicken tender box with fries and a biscuit. Damn. Actually had a burger lunch with my team in the city on Monday. Betty's Burgers. Not bad at all, actually. Not cheap, but not bad. You're talking about your fast food being run by teenagers so stoned they can't see straight, let alone prepare a proper meal. Yeah, they're starting to open Wendy's here. But yeah, all our stuff is real meat here. But oh god, that's right. There's even a Five Guys in Melbourne, which I have to try at some point. I do like burgers. My cousin owns a business, does food. They specialize in Philly cheesesteaks, and because he spent time in the US and learned the right recipe, so they promote themselves as like the only legit Philly cheesesteaks in Melbourne, and they are really yummy. And they have fried cheese curd on the menu too, which is also really yummy and super bad for you. So bad for you. Oh, they do the pink slime stuff, the processed stuff that's formed into shapes. God damn it. I actually really like schnitz, strictly Sega. Quite a bit. I haven't had it for a while because it's in all the food courts. That's usually where I end up having it if I'm in a food court. I quite like it. You got Philly cheesesteak egg rolls, which is what we call spring rolls here. But yeah, no, this place Sparrows at a pub in Fitzroy called the Catfish. Good stuff. Pretty sure Oporto is Australian. I'm not 100% sure so far. Is there a Carl's Jr. in Australia? Nathan's doesn't sound familiar to me. They do chicken tenders? Okay. Carl's Jr. is Hardee's. Okay. Well, yeah, I've got to try. There's apparently a Five Guys in Melbourne. I got to try that. And Wendy's is supposed to be opening over the next year. Yeah, I like Betty's. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I like it. I like schnitz. I don't think I did Soul Origin, but Yeah, I've mostly been trying to be good and have my little microwave things, controlled calories and all that sort of thing. Check is in the south and Rel is in the north. Who knows marketing? What the hell? Safa, I believe there is some Wendy's in Australia now, and there's going to be more in the next year. Burger King chicken fries, crime against humanity. Well, that's fair. Honestly, that just seems like a fair call. Um, just the fast food talk. Oh, I love good pub food too. I think I mentioned like a couple of weeks ago, Mrs. Angry and I spent the weekend in Healesville, and there was a Mexican place in a laneway that was just called the Laneway, which is next to a distillery. They do some stuff together. We did a tasting of stuff from the distillery, but their vegetarian nachos, the non-spicy one that they call Gringo nachos, was so yummy. It was just I feel pretty confident it was the tastiest vegetarian nachos I've ever had. It was just the ingredients were good and the corn chips they used. I don't know what corn chips they were using, but they were really good. Oh yeah, no, I understand most of the chicken stuff is pink slime. The nuggets and the tenders and whatnot is pink slime, which is very uncommon. What I thought it's what's this notification? Oh, because I reviewed some stuff on Google Maps. Jesus Christ. They're saying my photos from my reviews have been viewed more than 80,000 times. They're really trying to get me to do more reviews. I literally just started um, doing these Google Maps reviews because when Mrs. Anger and I went on a date night at a place we really liked, and we were chatting to the owner, and he's going like, "Oh, I hope you liked it." We said, "Oh, it was great." He's going, "Oh, well, it's glad to hear. Like we got some bad reviews on like Google Maps that seemed really unfair," and I went, "Oh, screw those people." So I went on and gave them a really positive review. And then Google says, "Oh, you should do some more." So then basically every time we went out on date night, I'd give places 5-star reviews and say, "This place is freaking awesome." And I'd post the photos. And then Google keeps sending me these alerts. Like they really, really want to have me contribute more. Like they're trying to make it a social media thing. Like you can be a renowned local reviewer. And it's like, calm the fuck down, you guys. It's like they're trying to go, "Hey, you went to a bloody service station. Do you want to review it?" No, I don't want to review a service station. Okay, fuck off. Um, but I review places we go for date nights. There you go. You only do it when they fuck you. Well, that was the funny thing. I started doing it for the ones that were nice, and Uh, and then there was one restaurant. It was this new place that had a lot of hype because it had these great views of the city, and it's like go there at sunset to get these great sunset over the city things. And so we booked for Mrs. Angry's birthday, and the day before they cancelled our booking with no explanation. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I found out from young Mr. Angry, who was actually working there at the time, like, oh, yeah, some corporate group booked out the whole place. So they just cancelled all the bookings. So I gave them a 1-star review. And I just said, why? I said, I'd booked weeks in advance for my partner's birthday. And the day before, they cancelled with no warning, absolutely inexcusable. And that's been viewed lots. Fuck those guys. And what I love is if someone looks at my other reviews, they'll see I review everywhere else 5 stars, but I gave these guys 1 star because fuck those guys. And after a while, they did actually reply under my things. "Oh, we're sorry this doing. Please contact us directly so we can make it right." And I was thinking, what are you going to do, you cunts? Invent a time machine and go back and not fuck up Mrs. Angry's birthday? Fuck you, you pieces of shit. I mean, like, The only thing that could approach making up for it, with the year paying off, the only thing that it could approach making up for it is if they offered us free dinner. It's that simple. But I just thought, I'm not giving you the chance. Fuck you. Because it's bullshit. People need to know they're fucking pricks. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be $50. It'd be more than that. Because like dinner for two there would run to a couple $100. They'd have to give us a free dinner. But I didn't even want to give them a chance. I just said to Mrs. Angry, let's just say fuck them, okay? And she's like, yep, fuck them. So yeah. And that whole doctor thing, Dontron, Jesus Christ, that's wild. So you actually reported that doctor and they lost their medical license. Jesus Christ, that's intense. Yeah. Yeah, it was literally just, I thought, well, probably I'd just get super angry. Like if I did email them and go, well, you said you want to make it right. What is it going to take to make it right? And I don't know if they'd ask me what I would have gone, because this is like literally the minimum would be like, well, give us dinner and drinks for free. Fuck you. Yeah, if they offered me partial, it'd be like, yeah, go fuck yourself. And so we just decided, fuck them. People just need to know they're pieces of shit. Yeah, no, that really did sound kind of criminal negligence, what you described. So for what am I watching tomorrow? Mrs. Angry and I are probably going to continue to rewatch The Expanse. We're almost at the end of season 2. We got one more episode, which has Amos's coolest line of the whole 5 seasons in it. And Amos is pretty cool most of the time. Like I think it's in about season 4 when he's clashing with some guy who's in charge of this corporate security force, and the guy says, like, I can see you and I one day are gonna have to have it out. And Amos just goes, I'm free now. Do you want to do it now? It's just like he's so fucking good. Oh yes, Bodies was great. I was hyping Bodies. I watched it a couple of weeks ago. If we need a break from The Expanse, I think we've still got some episodes of Our Flag Means Death to watch. The Gay Pirates. It's a fun show. Anywho, I'm going to do the ceremonial eating of the cherry. I've been kind of meaning to watch They Cloned Tyrone on Netflix. It looks interesting. It's very funny, very silly. The Gay Pirates. Oh man, those cherries are so good. All right, I'm going to sleep with Bobos. In all probability, anyone who's around will see me on Thursday. I'm going to make eggnog on Thursday. So I'm going to spend the intervening time. I was thinking about doing it during this stream, then I forgot. So in the lead up to Thursday, I'm going to identify an eggnog thing because I want to do at least 4 eggnog recipes in the lead up to Christmas. Eggnogs of the week. Do them like one a week. And I want to record one this week to go up like in the last week of November. And so if I do one a week, then there'll be 4 before Christmas. Thanks, Dontron. Really enjoyed chatting with you tonight. I have heard good things about They Cloned Tyrone, so I'm kind of keen to watch it. It seems fun. In bed for about 12 hours. Good call. When do I go? 8 hours. No, actually, maybe a bit longer tonight. I don't think because I'm working from home tomorrow, so my alarm won't go off till 7. So I can be ready to start at 7:30 because I like to start early and finish early. Anywho, Ridgy Didge, see you fine folk another time. I'm going sleepy bobos.